Alright guys, what's up? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. So with Season 2 literally hours away, they released not too long ago a XDefiant Season 2.1 patch notes, and it's actually pretty lengthy. So we're going to go over this in this one, and we're going to talk about it, of course. And we got lots to read, so let's get right into it. So it's starting with gameplay, and it goes, fixed an issue preventing some players from sliding after a jump if they selected the hold option instead of the toggle for crouch and sprint in the settings menu. Next up, corrected a control issue that stopped players from sprinting if they fired while quickly switching to ADS in mid-sprint. Victims of melee attacks now suffer a movement penalty of half speed for a quarter of a second, exactly enough to say, oh, hey. Next up, updated the 6 preset loadouts in the loadout menu so they offer full sets of attachments for primary and secondary weapons, along with devices that complement the primary weapon in each preset. The goal of these new loadouts is to offer attachments that support each weapon's strengths, while also letting players experience a variety of attachments and devices. Next up, tuned major and daily challenges. Next up, now when you complete a major challenge, the next one is automatically activated, so you don't need to select it yourself, which is a good thing, obviously. Next, fixed a weapons progression glitch that wasn't granting weapon XP points for kill assists. All right, now we're going on to the factions. So we got the Highwaymen. Straight out of Hope County 2035, the Highwaymen are cutthroat survivors with a high-octane attack style. They're all about dealing maximum damage in a minimum amount of time. Thanks to deployable assault turrets, speedy reload and rate of fire bonuses, and a lethal makeshift tech like their signature saw blade launchers wielded with complete disregard for power tool safety. Highwaymen fight their comrades and their leaders, Mickey and Lou, and fully expect to go out in a blaze of gory glory. The GS Commando. GS Commando's active defense system was kind of a pain to deploy in tight corners, but now it's not. Players can now cancel their active defense system after deploying it, similar to how Libertad players can cancel El Remedio. Also fixed a bug that allowed the active defense system to shoot through soft cover. Next up, fixed a glitch preventing the active defense system from doing its job against enemy proximity mines. Fixed a camera resetting bug caused by running into GS Commando Shockwire. DedSec. Spiderbot deployment is no longer canceled if the deploying DedSec player immediately activates their Ultra. Also, Spiderbot movement sounds have undergone a tune-up to address player complaints that those little facehuggers were getting the drop on them because they couldn't hear them coming. To that end, they've increased the volume of Spiderbot footsteps, as well as the radius in which these footsteps are audible. So that's a good thing, I guess. Decrease the duration of DedSec's loadout Ultra from 25 seconds to 20 seconds. Okay, so that's a bit of a nerf. Death no longer offers a release from DedSec's Lockout Ultra. Although the duration of the lockout has been reduced to 20 seconds, it now affects enemies who die and respawn during that period. Makes sense? Next up, fix a glitch that was disabling DedSec's hijack ability after using it on moving devices such as the Incinerator Drone or Spiderbot. All right, next up, we got some Phantom adjustments. Removed an exploit allowing some Phantom players to respawn with invincibility if they manage to trigger the Aegis Ultra moments before death. That's a good thing, obviously. Fixed the Phantom's mag barrier so it is no longer impervious to Aegis Electro Scattergun if hit anywhere except dead center. Next, restored center controller force feedback when blocking damage with Blitz Shield. Also added sound effects to indicate when Blitz Shield takes damage. Okay, that's obviously a good thing. Okay, Libertad. The effective range of Libertad's health Biovita boost has increased to match its visual effect. Okay, so that's a buff. Libertad's Medico Supremo Soothing Health Mist no longer disperses in midair if players deploy it while landing from on a high. All right. Next, they fixed a bug locking Libertad players in zoomed-in ADS state when deploying the Medico Supremo while using ADS. Okay, so that's obviously a good thing. In other Medico Supremo news, enemies no longer earn extra cancel points for taking out the deploying player if the player managed to complete deployment of Remedio Supremo as their final heroic act. Okay, Next up, the Cleaner's Incinerator Drone and Phantom's Mag Barrier no longer launch facing the wrong direction when deployed under a bad network connection. That's never actually happened to me. I mean, granted, I don't use my abilities all that much, but that's never happened to me. So I can only imagine for people that have used that so often, how annoying that must be. Okay, so we've got a few little adjustments to maps here. Waterfront, Run for the High Ground Season 2's new arena map. Waterfront, Storm Surge has ravaged its seaside skate park where players grind down adversaries or oily up to the boathouse for some close quarters combat. Okay, so Mayday here. The Mayday map has been removed from Capture the Flag on ranked mode playlist because it is just not a well-balanced map for that mode. Next, they fixed various map geometry issues that were leading to exploits such as players standing in mid-air or seeing enemies through walls. Affected maps include Attica Heights, Clubhouse, Emporium, and Pueblito. I want to add something to this. In Noodleplex, you can actually, towards the center of the map on the right-hand side, to where there's like surprisingly a lot of action going on. Like if you're like on one of the sides, like to where like people can see you through walls in certain areas of the map, and that's not new. It's been seen plenty of times in videos. I'm sure you guys have seen it because I've got plenty of Noodleplex gameplay on here, as well as on streams. So that's something they need to fix as well. I mean, I'm sure they're aware of it, but at the same time, I'm surprised that Noodleplex is not on here. Just wanted to add a little something to that. Next up, tweak objectives in Emporium and Times Square maps that preventing GS Commando's active defense system from deploying. Okay, that's obviously good. Okay, so we've got some game modes here. So yes, bomb will be at launch. So for those of you guys that are wondering if bomb was going to be at launch, it is going to be at launch. So that's a good thing because it's a long time coming, and so many players, both in ranked and unranked, were very much used to that. We're very much looking forward to that. So all right, let's get going here. So 2 bombs and 0 respawns define the high-stakes fan-requested new game mode with the objective right in the name, bomb. Attackers attempt to plant a detonator on one of the 2 bombs stationed across the map and keep it ticking until the bomb goes boom. Defenders try to stop the attackers from placing it, or failing that, they must defuse a detonator. Attacker success or defender failure leads predictability explosive results. All right, we have Escort here. Corrected a visual issue distorting the package path that inclines at making package icon appear all jittery when viewed through walls. Team Deathmatch changed. Let's see. Team Deathmatch had overtime when matches ended in a tie, but it wasn't supposed to do that. And now it doesn't. Team Deathmatch mode now has a daily challenge. Okay. Moving on to Capture the Flag. Completing a CTF session now counts towards earning the Grand Tour achievement. Okay. XP scores for accomplishing escort and zone control objectives have been doubled. If you thought you weren't earning cleanse points for killing the last enemy in domination, occupy, and zone control, you thought right, and it has been fixed. Same goes for checkpoint assist points and helping push the package and escort. As additional encouragement to finish matches, we've added medal challenges for completing arena modes and completing linear modes, both named Complete Game. These medals bump up Battle Pass momentum by granting a lump of sum of XP upon match completion, making players stick to itiveness the primary driver for Battle Pass progression. Now, that's pretty smart, especially when it comes to the casual players that don't play as often and have a hard time finishing the Battle Pass. Believe it or not, that is a thing, so that's something that's good. Pretty much for everybody, actually. All right, next up, we have some rank changes here. In Season 2, Season 2 also debuts ranked loadouts, a new loadout category with 10 slots. Ranked loadouts allow players to create custom loadouts from all launch weapons, attachments, and devices in ranked play, even if they haven't unlocked them. The trade-off is that a player selects a weapon from their loadout that if a player selects a weapon for the loadout that they have not yet unlocked, they will receive no XP progression on that weapon. Owned weapons will progress normally. The system doesn't apply to skins, faction characters, or post-launch weapon attachments devices that players have not unlocked. Let's see. Next up, corrected an issue with rank mode preventing PC keyboard users from confirming their pre-selected ability if a teammate has the same faction pre-selected. Next up, rank mode now uses the party's average rank level to find new players, with an average weighted towards the highest level player in that party. All right, now we've got weapons here. So new for Season 2, the PP-19. Yeah, we already know that. The SPAS-12, the L-86. Add an extended mag tube, a shotgun-only attachment that increases ammo capacity. Okay, now we're getting to some really interesting stuff here with the tweaks of existing weapons. So we've got the M44. Players wielding the M44 sniper rifle can no longer aim down its sights before the weapon's reload animation finishes. So that's a nerf. Next up, 686 Magnum. Removed a half a second weapon sway delay when switching to ADS. Also triggering after triggering the jump crouch penalty. So I guess this is a buff to a certain extent. Okay, the M870 corrected a timing issue with on the M870 shotgun. So spent shell casings eject when the slide is racked back rather than when the player fires, which is purely a cosmetic matter, but hey, it's the little things. Okay, so the MDR, they removed an aiming obstruction when equipped with the skeletonized cosmetic skin. Also, like the M870 tweaks above, corrected the same mechanical animations to match the real life weapon charging handle. No longer reciprocates, and spent casings now eject towards the front of the weapon rather than on the side. Next up, slight reduction in duration of the sniper hit flinch penalty from 0.7 seconds to 0.5 seconds for the M44, L115, and attack 50. So that is a buff, actually. A very slight buff, but a buff nonetheless. All right, next up, tune some barrel and muzzle attachments for balance. Here are the changes. So the muzzle booster, they added a short to medium range penalty of 12.5%. So that's a nerf. And then removed horizontal vertical recoil penalty of 10%. So that's a buff. And then added ADS speed penalty of 7.5%. So that's a nerf. So overall, this is more of a nerf than it is a buff, but there's two changes and then one, two nerfs and one buff, and these are significant. So I wonder how that's going to play out, because as you guys know, it's one thing when you read something and it's a whole other thing when you experience it in game. So we'll see. Rapid fire barrel. Now this one's going to be interesting. Added short / medium range penalty of 25%, which is significant. Removed horizontal vertical recoil penalty of 20%. Okay, that's interesting as well. So that's a buff. This is a nerf. This is a buff. Added ADS speed penalty of 15%. So that's a nerf as well. So there's been nerfs and buffs to this. So that's going to be very interesting. So it's like they nerfed the range and then ADS penalties. And then there's also an ADS penalty. But you've got more... you can actually, there's less of a recoil. There's no recoil penalty anymore. So it's pretty much a trade-off. So they slowed you down basically, but you're more accurate. So that's basically what it sounds like to me. All right, lightweight barrel. Added short to medium range penalty of 10% on the lightweight barrel. And then they removed the horizontal vertical recoil penalty of 10%. So this is a blurf, a buff and a nerf at the same time. So you're not as effective at range with this, but you're more accurate. So we'll see how that ends up. That's going to be very interesting. All right. I really also like, I like how they're making buffs and nerfs different in terms of instead of affecting, like they're affecting the attachments in a certain way in terms of like there's give and takes here. And there's very interesting in their approach. And we're going to see how that turns out. All right, next up, they reduced shakiness and other visibility distorting issues while using the scope and crouching or spamming crouch in crouch-only areas. They added a new mastery skin, which is unlocked at level 500, but if several other weapons in your arsenal have reached level 400. And I actually know this because I looked at this. Here's the specifics from Patty Aches himself. So you need to have level 400 or more for 4 ARs, 4 SMGs, 3 shotguns, 3 LMGs, 2 marksmen, 2 snipers, and 5 secondary. Then level 500 on the weapon you're going for. So that's, yeah, so this is quite interesting from what we normally get in other games. All right, next up, reflex and holographic optics now display enemy outlines as intended. Let's see. Okay, so this could be a change. This could be a change to where, like, if you're using a reflex sight or something like that, to where you don't feel quite aligned. I think this is where that has been fixed. I can't wait to use the AK or even the ACR whenever I decide to use a reflex on it to see if there's been a significant difference to this, because that's one thing about the AK that always like threw me off, was it just wasn't aligned. So maybe this is a fix for that. All right, next up, fixed a sight aiming wobble caused by jumping while in ADS. Okay, that's obviously a good thing. Eliminated a convoluted exploit in which players could bequeath the damage inflicted by high recoil, low rate of fire weapons, such as a sniper rifle, to a low recoil, low rate of fire weapon secondary if they swapped these weapons and fired moments before getting face hugged by a spider bot. Kudos to anyone who figured out that exploit. Now kiss it bye-bye. All right. Next up, devices fixed a glitch causing EMP grenades to disable conventional grenades such as frag or sticky if those grenades were deployed just as the EMP was about to activate. Damn. Yeah, I know that shouldn't happen, but still, because I love my EMP. But anyway, all right. Exploding sticky grenades now damage enemies when you lob them onto ceilings. Okay, that's obviously a good thing. All right, now this is a major one here. Netcode improved an issue where dying players who squeezed off that final shot at enemies weren't inflicting damage on that enemy, despite evidence of the contrary, such as hearing damage inflicting, sound effects, and seeing crosshair damage confirmation. Okay, this is a good thing actually. So I'm assuming that this actually, as you guys know, there's trades in XDefiant. You can actually kill people at the same time that they kill you, depending on the situation. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but it certainly does happen, and it happens more than it ever happened to me in COD. That's for damn sure. But I will say this though, I think you're going to be seeing more trades with this. So I mean, better than what's it called? Better than not registering at all. So this is definitely a good thing, and it also confirms some people's suspicion in terms of like, hey, I'm getting hit registration, but their power, I mean, their health doesn't change at all. So this is actually something that is overall very good. All right, next up, social. Quick chat is now in the game. The feature lets players select predefined messages from an icon based in quick chat menu, such as group up or attacking A, and send them to teammates for lightning quick comms. Okay, so we're a step closer to ping here, and that's something that I know that some people have been asking for, including GCP, who's a friend of the channel. All right, next up, audio. Now, this is a big one. I've read this earlier. We've made significant changes to footstep and clothing sound effects to address community concerns, starting with one, balancing all enemy and ally footsteps to be at the same audio levels for sprinting, running, standard movement, and walking. Moving while in ADS, crouch walking is silent. Okay, so next up, improving the distances at which players can hear these sounds and how naturally they fade in and out of the with the distance. Thank goodness. I'm going to start using my headset now to see a difference. Next up, improving sound effects quality in general, such as footsteps increasing or decreasing with the movement speed and sounding muffled on other floor or room. Okay, so now they're going to sound muffled if they're on another floor or room, as opposed to sounding like they're right next to you and loud as hell. So this is good. This is a good thing. Next up, the player's own footsteps and clothing sounds have been reduced in volume. Thank God. Incidentally, all friendlies 180 degrees behind you are muted. Yes. Okay, so if somebody's actually behind you, it's going to be easier to tell when somebody's behind you that's an enemy as opposed to a friend, because 180 degrees behind you, in like on your 6 basically, if you hear something, chances are it's an enemy and not an ally, because you're not going to be able to hear allies and you will be able to hear enemies. This is a good thing. GG's. All right, next up, enable text-to-speech and voice chat on Xbox platforms while fixing its volume settings on all platforms. Tuned the conditions that trigger a death streak, VO line, dying multiple subsequent times without killing an enemy player, from 3 deaths to a 30-second cooldown to 4 deaths with a 60-second cooldown. Okay, wait a minute. I got it. Wait, what? Tuned the conditions that trigger a death streak. VO line, dying multiple subsequent. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm feeling a little. I mean, I just woke up from a huge ass nap, so I'm feeling a little stupid right now. So, whatever this means, okay. It went from 30-second cooldown to with a 60-second cooldown from, whatever. Next up, eliminated an issue causing low game volume when Windows spatial sound is enabled. Audio fixes various. Okay, and we're at to the last here with Miscellaneous. Players can now skip intro videos when starting the game. Thank goodness. Next up, added custom frame rate limit options for various features, gameplay, menus, in and out of focus settings due to the setting menus, which is good. Corrected some graphical and interface weirdness related to PC players, changing their window size while in windowed mode. Next up, fixed 120 Hz graphics mode so it persists after reloading the game. Okay. Eliminated a game crashing bug occurring when sticky grenades were deployed close to the Phantom's Aegis shield. And then last but not least, crash fixes for, various crash fixes. All right. Wow, that was definitely, that's probably the biggest patch, if not one of the biggest patches that we've ever had, obviously. Now, obviously, this is a Season 2.1 patch, so this makes sense for the patch to be at this size. But for the most part, this is a lot of good stuff. I'm actually really curious to see how everything plays out in terms of the weapon attachments department. I put up in my community tab that I'm like, yeah, this is definitely going to affect my M16. But honestly, just like the movie Top Gun Maverick says, you know how in that movie they say it's not the plane, it's the pilot. So with me, I'm going to take the same approach to where it's not the weapon, it's the user. I'm probably still going to use the shit out of it. And again, when one door closes, another one opens. I mean, you can always make adjustments to the classes and to make it, more a little bit your style. But at the same time, we adjust and adapt like we always do. But anyway, these are pretty much the season 2.1 patch notes that are probably going to be going live with the season 2. And just an FYI, before getting on here, it seems that the servers are going to be going down at 8 a.m. Eastern time in preparation for season 2, and then 1 hour later at 9 a.m. Eastern time is when season 2 is going to launch, according to what I've read, which is information from the Discord. I didn't go into the Discord myself, but I did a little Google search, and that is what they are saying. So that seems to be the case now, which is kind of weird. It's a few hours early, but at the same time, hey, we'll take it. Because usually, from what I remember, launches for seasons used to be on a Tuesday, not a Wednesday. So I guess this is their way for making it go live sooner. But with that being said, I really want to know what you guys think of these patch notes. And as always, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys on the next one.